The Nutcracker Prince, Part 1. It was Christmas Eve. At the Slivers' home, the parlor brimmed with family and friends. Dancing, laughing, and talking, Clara, her brother Fritz, and their friends admired the beautiful Christmas tree. The clock struck 8. A man in dark clothing arrived. Fritz hid behind Clara. "Don't be scared, Fritz," Clara said. She knew something wonderful would happen. The man was hair bristle man. He was a toy maker and a magician. Everything he did was touched by magic. Drosselmeyer had brought with him 4 dolls. They looked like real little people. He set them in the middle of the floor, where they began to dance. The children were delighted. Herr Drosselmeyer had more surprises in store. He made beautiful toys for all the children. He gave the girls china dolls with delicate little faces. For the boys, he had made toy buggles. To Fritz, he gave a toy drum that made a perfect tum-tum-tum. Clara stood by the tree, watching the lights twinkle. The other children laughed as they played. With their new toys. She thought perhaps Herr Drosselmeyer had forgotten her gift. Maybe he thinks I am too old to play with dolls, she sighed. Herr Drosselmeyer found Clara, who was standing all by herself. He had a gift for her, too. "Don't worry, Clara," he whispered. "Your gift is the most special of all." He gave her a wooden nutcracker, carved to look like a little man. He wore the majestic clothes of a soldier. His mouth opened and closed to crack delicious hazelnuts. Clara loved the nutcracker. "Oh, thank you, Herr Drosselmeyer," Clara said. "It is beautiful." Fritz looked up from his drum. He saw Clara's toy and was jealous. "Girls can't play with soldiers," he whined. He grabbed the nutcracker from Clara. The boys began tossing it about. "Stop!" Clara cried. "Please!" Fritz didn't listen. He threw the nutcracker high into the air. The wooden soldier came down to the floor with a crash, then broke. Clara held the broken toy in her hands. Herr Drosselmeyer gently plucked the nutcracker from Clara's hand. He laid a handkerchief over the toy. "Shush!" he said calmly. When he pulled it away, the nutcracker was as good as new. Soon it was very late. Herr Dresselmayer and the other guests had gone home. Clara sat next to the Christmas tree with her nutcracker. She gently placed him on a little bed. She kissed the nutcracker and whispered good night. She soon fell asleep. Clara awoke when the clock struck midnight. The room was still glowing with the lights of Christmas. Then she noticed something strange. The house, the toys, and the Christmas tree were growing. Or am I shrinking? Clara wondered. She was soon too small to even reach the bottom branches of the tree. She heard the sound of bugles and a drum. A troop of mice came marching into the room. They followed a leader, the Mouse King. Clara's heart beat fast. Just then a soldier stepped in front of her. It was the nutcracker. Clara knew he would keep her safe. The nutcracker ordered the toy soldiers and gingerbread men into lines. The Mouse King's army lined up as well. Soon a battle broke out. The sound of swords crashing rang in Clara's ears. The Mouse King came after the nutcracker with his sword. He stood tall over the nutcracker. The Mouse King and the nutcracker's sword clashed against one another. Behind them, the other soldiers continued to fight. I must help somehow, Clara said. She threw her slipper at the Mouse King. It hit him right in the head. The Mouse King was caught off guard and fell to the ground. The mice rushed to their leader's side and carried away their king. Clara fell into the nutcracker's bed. She was tired and confused. This must be a dream, she said. As she spoke, the bed turned into a beautiful sleigh. Next to her, the nutcracker turned into a prince. We must be going, he said. The sleigh lifted into the air. Clara knew she was about to have a wonderful adventure. The Nutcracker Prince, Part 2. Clara and the Nutcracker Prince rode their sleigh, bending around the trees of a snowy forest. The snowflakes twirled and swirled. Each crystal flake spun into a tiny dancer. Deeper into the glittering forest they went. Then they drifted down beside the moonlight river. Where are we going? Clara asked. The prince pointed across the water. We are going to the land of sweets, he said. They climbed into a nutshell boat pulled by blue dolphins. As they drew closer to the shore, the air around them smelled of cakes and spun sugar and chocolate treats. The land of sweets was more beautiful than Clara could have ever dreamed. Ladyfinger Mountain stood tall, topped with whipped cream snow. Candy flowers in every color covered the hillsides. In the valleys swirled a buttercream frosting reflection the soft moonlight. Their boat stopped at a dock made from red and white peppermints. From out of thin air, the beautiful sugar plum fairy appeared. The prince told the fairy how Clara had saved him. "I know," the fairy said, as she led them to the candy castle. "And now a party awaits." The fairy led Clara and the prince into a grand ballroom. "We hope you will like the party," the fairy said. On top of the longest table Clara had ever seen, a feast of sweets awaited them. There were cakes in every color topped with fruit, flowers, and sugar raisins. Licorice trains zoomed around sugar-bed houses. Clara and the prince filled plates high with their favorite treats. The fairy sat them on two beautiful thrones. As they took their sweet bites, the dancing began. Spanish dancers kicked up their heels in a lively tune. They clapped castanets and twirled through the sounds of trumpets. Neck-apron dancers, hidden behind veils, moved in a dance that looked like steam rising. The sound of flute welcomed the Chinese dancers. They pranced lightly about the room in costumes of bright colors. Resin glows and candy cane clothes leaped into the air. They danced in a way that made Clara's heart race. Then out came Mother Ginger, wearing a giant gingerbread skirt. As she twinkled across the stage, her 8 children came out from under her dress. They spun and danced around her. A wisp of flowers came next, the colorful blooms, their rainbows of movement. Clara clapped with joy as the balerines took their bows. Then the sugar plum fairy came to the center of the floor. Clara was happily lost in the dance. She knew she would never forget this song or this moment. When her dance ended, the sugar plum fairy presented Clara and the prince with crowns. "I pronounce you rulers of the land of sweets," the fairy said as she placed a jeweled crown on Clara's head. The room burst into applause. One by one, the dancers came and bowed before Clara and the prince. One by one, they slowly disappeared. As the last of the guests came by, Clara began to feel sleepy. The prince led Clara to the beautiful Christmas tree. Then he kneeled before Clara. He took her hand and kissed it. Clara gazed up at the twinkling lights of the tree. When she turned around, the Nutcracker Prince was gone. The grand ballroom of the sugar castle had suddenly changed into a parlor of Clara's home. Was it all a dream? Clara wondered. She looked down at the wooden Nutcracker laying in his bed. She noticed something was different. The Nutcracker now wore a beautiful jeweled crown, and so did Clara.